Hi, this is Ashish R. Bidekar, and welcome to my podcast, The ARB Show. I'm super thrilled to introduce today's guest, Saurabh. Saurabh has a master's degree in nuclear physics and is a serial entrepreneur. His earlier companies include Curie Labs, which is an AI-based power management startup, Qblocks, which is a Techstar-backed decentralized computing layer to serve Web 3.0 applications. He's currently CEO of Monster API, AI-focused computing infrastructure. They're so super simple, ultra slick APIs make it easy to fine tune and deploy powerful AI models like Mixtral, Llama, Pi2, and many others in a scalable and affordable way. Over to you, Saurabh. Do share your life journey and your vision for Monster API.
Hi Ashish. Thanks for inviting me on this podcast. I'm Saurabh here, and I was a particle physicist earlier. And during my particle physics days, I got a chance to work at CERN, where they have Large Hadron Collider. And one of the projects there was fascinating, along with many other fascinating projects. But this one, it really caught my eye. It was called as LHC at home. So the concept was very simple. Instead of building more server farms, how do we offload some of the workloads they have for analysis and detection of particles? How do they offload some of those workloads for running computations on millions of consumer devices? And the thesis was super simple. There are millions of gaming systems. Your laptops are becoming very powerful now, but most of the time they're sitting idle. What if they could run scientific computations for labs like CERN and many others? And so far, there has been more than 500 different scientific projects all over the globe which have leveraged this technology. The biggest one is Folding at Home, which in 2020 became world's biggest distributed supercomputer just using this approach. They crossed the exascale level. Now the idea is, how do we bring this in the machine learning space? Machine learning is compute intensive. It demands powerful GPUs. It's becoming very, very hungry. And developers can't really afford that. So that's where we bridge this gap. We have partnered with thousands of crypto miners, smaller data centers, and gamers all across the globe, brought them on a network. All these heterogeneous, we standardized all these heterogeneous systems on the network, and then we installed CUDA environment, libraries, drivers, and everything. And then on top of that you can now run your AI models. First, we build this infrastructure layer, and then on top of that, now we have APIs and no-code fine-tuning solution that you can start using without wasting your time. So it's not just more affordable because we are using a decentralized computing here, but it's also super easy to start fine-tuning the latest AI models.
Great, great. Thanks, Saurabh. So as we discussed, the format of this show is where the guests talk about their top three tips or top three, trends in a specific domain of their expertise. So with that context, it would be great if you could talk about top three ways how no code will change AI, and that will be a topic which will be of great interest. And given the whole AI wave, would be something which everyone would really love to know your views. Over to you, Saurabh.
This is really important. We believe that AI is at a point where it is so good that it is going to change every single industry. And by 2030, it will touch the lives of 8 billion people, but it directly and indirectly. Indirectly through applications. Those applications would be built by more than 100 million developers. We want to help them in two ways. One is through affordability. So we have built a decentralized computing infrastructure to bring in affordability. Our nodes are 80% cheaper compared to running your models on traditional clouds like AWS, Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud. When you run it in a decentralized manner on these consumer nodes, you can save 80% on that. But the bigger problem that we found was accessibility. There is so much talent out there, but they right now don't understand a lot more things like, how do I create a Docker container? How do I manage those containers? How do I scale those containers? I need to learn orchestration. I need to learn Kubernetes and many other things. These are all becoming a barrier. So the big barrier initially was cost, but now another barrier is learning all those skill sets. So by building no-code solutions, our whole you can say our hope is that we can bring access to running these AI models in for more and more developers, people who are slightly technical, but they don't need to be specialists. They don't need to be MLOps engineers. They can be regular Python developers, and they can start using AI and integrating those AI in their applications using our no-code API for fine-tuning and deployments.
Got it. So essentially, the first way it's going to change, from what I could understand, is you're reducing the entry barriers, making it, you're democratizing AI, right? So that even non-AI developers who have maybe Python or some basic skills can now participate in the AI economy of sorts, right? So that's very fascinating.
Exactly.
Because we have seen in technology that the more you democratize technology, the more you'll get the benefits as a society as a whole, right? Because it's no longer
Exactly.
a elitist group of people controlling technology and telling others what to do, but it's no longer a power tool concentrated, but it's with everyone. So that's fantastic. So what would be the second way you feel that no code trend is going to change AI?
Yeah. So our entire philosophy behind what all the products that we build is computing should work like electricity. So for example, at your home, you can switch on a plug, you get power. You don't care where that electricity, where that power is coming from. You don't care about the infrastructure or power grid. You don't care whether it's fossils, solar, or whatever. All you care about are two things. It has to come from the cheapest source of electricity, and it should be available 24/7. But in the developer world, in the AI world today, you have to kind of build your own infrastructure. You go to AWS, you have to set everything. First, today, you have to search for GPUs. There's an acute GPU shortage. First, you have to search for these GPUs. Second, if you find them, you have to negotiate with those different vendors, and then you have to set those GPUs up. Third, you have to learn how to scale them. Now, the entire thesis is how do we bring the same analogy of electricity in this world, that as a developer, just take an API or a no-code product, and you can start building your AI-powered applications on top of that. So first is, you can say, democratization, but second, what I've seen is it helps you in prototyping really fast. Like for example, if you were to fine-tune a model, traditionally, if you do it on platforms like AWS, it would take you hours just to set your nodes up, and then then only you can start fine tuning. You have to think about different hyperparameters. You have to set the templates for your data sets. All those things take up your time, along with the searching for GPUs part and setting them up, learning how to set up containers and everything. Now with no code solution, it's a 3-step process. You select a model, you select your data sets, and you can start fine tuning. This way you can run multiple fine-tuning experiments. So your prototyping becomes very fast, and this saves you time, your team time, and your startup a lot more time. And time is again money.
Right. So that's fascinating, because in the startup world we often talk of of the speed and agility, right? So even if you fail fast, it's better than failing after a long time. And of course, when you have various hypotheses to test, if each of the experiments is going to take like ages, it's not going
to happen. Exactly. You can run parallel experiments and figure out the most optimized hyperparameters and just take that model ahead and deploy it.
Exactly. So any kind of matrices which you can share in terms of what is the performance gain or time saved with your approach compared to a traditional approach, in terms of time, in terms of money, that would kind of give some idea as to how this is really going to help.
In terms of money, so far using this approach, we have saved our developers more than $5 million so far by using our entire platform. And in terms of time, if we talk about developer experience, if you have to do this all by yourself on AWS, so there are two ways. One is you can learn all those skills and actually do this on AWS. It would take you hours to get your first experiment up and running. Second is, most probably you would have to hire an army of MLOps engineers who really understand the infra part, and they also understand the ML part. And that's another point. Another reason we are so positive about and optimistic about the no-code solutions, because it reduces the cost for startups. Now, if you're a startup, you need best talent, but where do you invest your resources? Because you also need to invest in computing power. Then you have to hire the right talent in ML ops, in infra, in many others. So instead of having a team of 10 ML ops engineers, now you can just start with one. So it saves you a lot of cost in terms of these resources also.
Got it. That's really fascinating. What would be the third way you feel that this no code trend is going to help or change AI?
So let's say that was the third reason, I would say, cost reduction. So for a startup, for a small team, it increases their runway because you don't have to hire an army of MLOps engineers. So first reason is democratization. Let's say initially the pool was only 2 million machine learning developers could actually run AI models on cloud. Now this would help more than 100 million developers take part in this game. Second is rapid prototyping and experimentation. You can now run hundreds of experiments in parallel. Most of the developers on our platform are actually doing that. They're running at least 20 different experiments at the same time in search for that optimized hyperparameter values. And then third is you can save money as a startup and a small team by not investing in so many MLOps engineers.
Got it. Got it. That's great. So in this journey, I mean, right from your qubits to currently Monster API, what are some of the aha moments which you had, right, wherein developers or customers have given you feedback saying that, wow, this is like really life changing? Any stories which you can share?
I mean, there are so many, I would say, messages we get on our intercom. It's about the no-code, product. But I can say one of the things, not from the customer side. There has been many, good testimonials, but from the origin story perspective also. So I started this with my brother Gaurav, and Gaurav was a machine learning researcher. Is a machine learning researcher, but before this, he had his own computer vision startup. The thing we were discussing, about these background removal process. So they were doing that with computer vision, and he was actually spending more than $2,000 on AWS for training these models. So and it was completely bootstrapped. So he was under a lot of stress that how do I balance a lot of these things. I'm spending more than $2,000, and $2,000 in India is a lot of money. And this was like 4 or 5 years back. So and I come from particle physics background. I had seen the power of distributed computing. So that's how we collaborated together that, hey, why don't we use this concept for machine learning? Let's try this. And if you remember 4 years back, there was a very solid crypto boom. So we saw that there were millions of crypto mining machines and rigs, that people were building every single day. So the idea was, can we run these or train these machine learning models on a crypto mining rig? And that was the, you can say first time we experimented with this. We built our own rig, and because in these rigs you have gaming GPUs. Gaming GPUs are not designed for AI, for serving AI. They are designed for gaming. The crypto community optimized it for blockchain, but it was never optimized for AI. So that's what we did. We had to create our own ML environments, the entire ML package. We downloaded it on that. After like 8 iterations, we were able to make it work. And finally, Gaurav, was able to reduce his own personal cost. His bills dropped from $2,000 to $200 per month. And that was a great aha moment for us. We realized that yes, we can make this work, and there are millions of developers that can leverage this technology. And not just this, there are a few customers who have tried to use our no-code fine-tuning solution on their Macs. And this is one area that we are really excited about. We see a future where you would have millions of MacBooks with M2 chip, which is incredibly powerful, running these AI models for the community. So instead of not just for themselves but for the community. So if I want to deploy my model, instead of deploying it on a cloud like AWS or let's say on Qblocks, I could just deploy it on millions of M2 chip powered MacBooks, and they can make money out of that. So imagine you're sleeping and your MacBook is making money for you.
Right. So it's
just like Airbnb and Uber. Yeah.
Right. So in fact, many experts have talking, and we will also already see that trend of running LLMs on mobile phones, right, on your iPhone and all, right? So I'm sure that's the case. But again, let me talk on the slightly negative side as well. Of course, everything is nice, but in the no code world or in this area world, do you see any specific boundary conditions, or have you encountered any use cases where you felt that yes, this can be done, but then that was a limitation of the no code approach?
Not on the no-code side, but on the decentralized side. One of the difficult things is we want to optimize three things. We want to optimize demand, scaling up, basically. So, for example, you had 1,000 users, now suddenly you have 100,000 users. How do you scale that up and without compromising on quality and latency? So, second question is about cold start of these servers. If you want to keep them warm, you have to pay a lot of money out of your pocket because you want to keep these GPUs warm. And third is capital. So it's a balance between these three things, and it's pretty challenging. So we are solving for cold start. That's under one of the research areas that we have been actively working on. Once we do that, we would be able to provide a truly serverless solution.
Wow, excellent. That's great. Any patents or any IP specifically which you have created in this area?
A lot of IP. We have just recently, 1 month back, we have filed a patent. It has many underlying innovations from the decentralized infrastructure to the no-code solution.
Wow. So that I'm sure that could be something exciting. So, but now coming back to a different area, I mean, everyone, when you talk of AI, everyone talks of the big daddies of the world, right? It's like the open AIs, and you've got the Googles, and you've got Microsoft and Perplexity. Every day you've got some huge behemoths with tons and loads of VC money.
Difficult to catch up. Yeah.
every hear something new. So in this space, how do you feel in terms of as Monster API and riding the no code wave? What are the kind of competition you're facing? What are the kind of new startups which are doing something similar to you? And how do you navigate this, or how do you feel you will be navigating this whole AI wave?
So one of the things we realized, last year, 2023 was a very big year for the generative AI world. One of the things we realized was that we should not personally at Monster API not play the AI game in a sense like building our own models, because let's say we build a model today, we beat everyone on the benchmarks. I can assure you, like within 2 weeks, another open source model or some other company would come up and they would beat those benchmarks again. So it's a race, among many players, and it's a very costly, expensive game. So you always have to be on top of different models. What we want to be, we want to become the most resilient, most simple and affordable infrastructure company, computing infrastructure company, to help developers get access not just to compute but to access these tools and AI models. Because to be honest, it's incredibly difficult even today to deploy your model. Let's say you have, even after fine tuning, let's say you have fine tuned, now you want to deploy it. It's incredibly difficult to deploy it on AWS of the world. So that's the lesson here. So we want to be on the infrastructure side. On infrastructure side, there are two types of competition. One is on the you can say on the making it easy part. There, Replicate has done incredibly good job. If you want to run the latest custom models, not custom models, non-custom models, you want to run Mixtral, Llama, SDXL, all the open source models, you can run them. But because they still run on AWS, it's very expensive. And on the decentralized side, you have projects like Golem, Sonam, Akash Network, which comes from the crypto world. And there are a few other, marketplaces like Vast.ai. But those they don't offer the complete stack. They offer you compute. So as a developer, you can rent out these GPUs, but how do you then scale them up? How do you go from one GPU to hundreds of GPUs across different regions while handling GDPR issue and many other compliance issues? So we've combined best of the world. On one side, we have APIs like Replicate, but we run them on decentralized infrastructure, which leads to affordability.
Got it. So you're kind of picking and choosing the best of what's out there and trying to create it on one platform. That's good. Are you funded?
Yeah, we raised $1.2 million last year. That was our pre-seed round.
Very good. Congratulations. So that's fantastic. So thanks, Saurabh. This really gives a great perspective. And thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. Do subscribe, share, and like this podcast available on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get it. Bye for now. Talk to you soon.